Hello, everyone, and a very good morning. Welcome to another exciting session. I'm Assunta Carolina, your moderator for this session. And we have with us Inche Ahmad Hasyir bin Ahmad Shukri, who's just finished his PISM studies. He is going to be the sign language interpreter for us today. Before I introduce our speaker, I seek your cooperation to post your questions and comments in the chat box for the panelists to address later. Now that we've got this out of the way, let me introduce our exciting speaker. She hails from Institut Pendidikan Guru, Kampus Tuanku Bainun. Her expertise lies in the field of teaching English as a second language. She is a pensyarah cemerlang, grade Has C. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great honor to introduce Dr. Quah Hoon. Today, she is going to share with us the Pecha-Kucha technique. I am sure you are all like me too, eager and interested to find out more. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Quah and her Pecha-Kucha. Dr. Quah?
Hi everyone, how are you? And a good morning to you. It's still in the morning. It stopped raining in Penang. It was raining very heavily just now. I'm glad it stopped. Right, so let me just start again. Okay, I will just restart this. Yes, that's it. Now, even though this session will be in English, if you have any questions, if you feel free to ask them in Malay, DM, no problem. I can still answer them in DM for you. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat and we'll see to them later. Okay, now let's move on. So what is Pecha-Kucha? Have you heard of Pecha-Kucha before? Do you think it's a technique that's from Malaysia, or is it a strategy that's used in English language teaching? Let's see what it is, shall we? No. So first of all, have any of you ever had the fear of speaking in public when someone pushes the mic into your face and you're not ready? Or when suddenly you haven't prepared and your name is called up by the MC somewhere? Or, you know, when you're in class and sometimes you push your students forward to say something and they look forward and they look down. Or this scene here, the never-ending story. Have you ever sat there like these people here and asked yourself, when is this guy ever going to stop talking? So we have people who talk on and on and on, and he doesn't stop. So my solution, and from my experience, I'm going to share this technique called Pecha-Kucha. What you see here, it is 20 images, 20 seconds each. It is a format of presentation, right? On a very simple side here, it is simply storytelling. So let me tell you again what Pecha-Kucha is. It's a presentation format, 20 by 20, meaning 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide, set on auto run in your PowerPoint, a total of 6 minutes, 40 seconds, guaranteed to be over. No one is going to fall asleep. So where did it begin? Okay, the origins of Pecha-Kucha actually started way back in 2003 in Tokyo. Okay, and in Japanese, it means chit-chat. And it was started by these architects who were not Japanese, by the way, but they were bored with long talks and they wanted it to be shortened, short, but yet impactful. So he came up with this idea of Pecha-Kucha and Pecha-Kucha events. The first event was held in Tokyo in 2003. It looks something like this. There would be a speaker and then people would be listening to him. So everyone had 20 slides, 20 seconds each. It's now all over the world. More than 140 plus countries have this event. And some events have got about 50 people. Some event, well, fills a small hall. Some events can go up to about 50,000 people. So It depends on who the hosts are or who the host is and how big or how small they want the event to be. So people come and they watch. And the events have got a whole variety of topics. As you can see here, there's one in Petaling Jaya, right, about poetry. And you can see Pittsburgh, they had one as well. You see Brighton in UK, it's about animals. And in Guangzhou in China, about love and moms. So in Chicago, different places, different. So where do people actually present the PechaKucha? Like I said earlier, PechaKucha events, right? At night, usually nighttime events, semi-social, semi-casual, not exactly business, but there is a special PechaKucha for business because some companies actually want the staff to present in this format so they don't waste time. Now, PechaKucha for education is what I'll touch on later. And we see on this slide here, it's a website. There is a website on the internet called pecha-kucha.org. There's lots and lots of examples of PechaKucha presentations there. And a lot of other information. If you want to attend an event, this is where you go. And what are the benefits of PechaKucha? So this 20 by 20 format, of course, one, if you do it well, after some time, you have mastered the art of concise presentations. You have no long presentations. Everything finishes in less than 7 minutes. You develop the skill of being able to select and pick the most relevant points. In short, it is storytelling made easy. And even on the website, if you go to, they have got this platform for you to upload images, select images, record it there, and then publish it as you would in YouTube. You can publish your PechaKucha presentation there. You don't have to actually go to an event too. So how do you prepare a PechaKucha? There is a storyboard which is provided for you there. So basically you select a topic, look for images online, and then you plan, you practice, and then you record, and you click the submit button, and there it's published. So that's what it's like online. Now, how do we improve? Of course, obviously, watch others do it. If you go onto the PechaKucha website, you see loads of examples. Here are some on architecture. You see the variety. And I see one on Penang. That's where I am now. And so just architecture alone. And there are many, many others as well. See how people do it. And this is the category of comedy. They've got many categories, okay? Gacha. You heard of such a thing? If you haven't, go and look for it, okay? And the other one as well, it comes under comedy. So there must be something funny about it. So go watch, learn, and most of all, I'm sure you will enjoy what you see there. Now, tips from the experts. Keep your slides simple and yet very visual. Remember, the visual can speak 1,000 words. So you don't go round and beat round and round the bush. Of course, outlining your slides help. Then you keep your points in focus. These are very sound tips. Another one for beginners here. Where do we start? Present what you love, obviously. That's the simplest thing, right? And of course, we had a 5-year-old girl who started her first presentation about her artwork. And another 69-year-old, as you see here, who presented about her wedding cake creations. And these are all their hobbies. So it is very true for beginners, start with what you love. On the other spectrum of simple storytelling is this complex presentation of research presentations. Here we see 2 researchers in the US. Their research findings were presented in the PechaKucha mode. That means 20 slides, 20 seconds each, and the presentation done. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed a PechaKucha presentation. From slide 1 until this current slide, that is 20 slides, 20 seconds each. I set it onto auto run. So this is how fast or how well your presentation would go if you take this PechaKucha 20 by 20 format. So I hope no one has fallen asleep though. Okay, now let's move on now. So how do we actually apply this presentation format that comes from the corporate world into our education context now? Okay, and of course, it obviously will develop their presentation skills. That we acknowledge. Let's look here. But why? Some of you might ask, why? Why PechaKucha? My students are in primary school. They're not relevant. Well, who says it's not relevant? It will help them develop very good visual storytelling skills. Primary schools, you've got storytelling every year, storytelling competitions every year. Well, it helps them develop the skill of using visuals effectively as well. So if you can develop their skills right from primary school, imagine when they come to secondary school, that ability to select and be concise and precise is already there. Okay, so when you further develop, then you develop further their presentation skills. So this is where we say it is relevant. And for me, because I have done it with my students, and of course they were not primary school students, they were like, undergraduate students. So I worked on their presentation skills and the use of visuals. How then? How do we actually import it? This is something which I have tried, and so I will say that I am sharing it because I find it's useful. So the first thing you need to do if your students have never been exposed is introduce the PechaKucha to them. Like what I did it for you. So I did a PechaKucha on PechaKucha. But for you, you might want to take something else. Go to the website, select one that is relevant to your subject. It's not just for English. I teach English or TESOL, but you can select something related to science or any other subject you're teaching, something relevant to them, and you can show it to them. After all, it only takes up 5-6 minutes. Before 7 minutes, it's over. Introduce to them so that they know what it's like. They will understand when you say 20 by 20, 20 slides, what that means, So you introduce them to it. Then only you set the task. Okay? If you're a language teacher, you could even have a little comprehension exercise when you introduce them to it. Once you set them the task, then you can give it to your students and the students can start planning. I recommend a storyboard kind of plan because they've got pictures and then they have to say something to describe the pictures. Okay? Yeah. After that, once they've done the outline or the script, they will need to practice. You need to give them time to practice. Even we need to practice. And finally, they get to present the PechaKucha. They can do it face-to-face, or even now, PDPR, when we're all online, you just ask your students to record it. No problem. And I'm sure that it will be interesting because I've seen my students do it, especially those that they work collaboratively. I will talk a little bit about that. So this is the procedure which I would recommend. Introduce them first, very important. They need to know what it is first. So for a start, like I said, allow them to work, collaborate, group work, pair work, because 20 slides can be quite daunting. So if you feel that 20 slides is too daunting, you can trim it down to 10 slides. 10 times 20. So maybe 20 seconds, but only 10 slides. Allow them to work in pairs or groups, depending on your constraints, up to you. Again, start with something simple and familiar. Okay? Start with something simple and familiar. Now, here are 2 sample tasks. Okay? One at a higher level, task 1, which I gave to my students when they just came in their foundation year. So they were like maybe Form 6 students level, okay? But I started something simple because I gave them themes. I did not give them a topic. You notice that I've underlined 20 by 20. That is the format I'm taking, the original PechaKucha. So, and they have themes. So they have additional work. They have to decide on a specific title or topic. So they have a little bit more to do, and I give them instructions. But the other task, the one that is a lower level one, notice straight away, underlined, I have a 10 by 20 format now. So you can juggle or tweak the presentation format according to your learners and the time constraints that you have. Okay, so this one, I would say since they are lower level, I think 10 slides is enough, but I feel that 20 seconds is good because they are working in pairs. And when one person stops talking at 10 seconds, the other person will try to come and help. And like I said just now, it is really, really very interesting to see how they try to help one another, how they try to signal to one another with their body language. They say, okay, I'm stuck, please help. And after a while, they actually can read each other's body language very well. And I've seen some that very naturally, when they see that their friend has stopped, they just come in. So 20 seconds, in fact, I would say sometimes is not sufficient. So it is a very good way to start in pairs or in small groups. Don't go until groups of 5. That would be too many. 3, I think it's okay. And simple topic where they just select. So you have to have instructions. When you first start, you have to give them very clear instructions. Like I said here, select 10 pictures for your 10 slides. Then you discuss with your partner. And then I stated that each pupil will present 5 slides. So after some time, when they're used to it, you don't have to explain so much detail. You just have to tell them, okay, we're using the Pecha-Kucha 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 or 20 by 20 and divide it among yourselves equally. They will know how to do it already. But the initial part, you have to train them to understand what you mean. So your instructions have to be clear, okay? And sometimes they will come back and will clarify with you again. So basically, they work with PowerPoint. You can also do with Google Slides. Anything, these two are good. I think very easily available. They can easily set it to transition for 20 seconds, so it's not a problem. So it's 2 sample tasks. So basically, Pecha-Kucha is like a show and tell kind of activity with the help of visuals. Visuals speak very loud, and you can use it for storytelling if you're dealing with primary school. You can do it in Malay, you can do it in English, you can do it in Mandarin, you can do it in Tamil, whatever language you teach, no problem. You can ask them to describe events. If you're teaching sejarah, history, they can describe an event, using 10 slides, 20 slides, up to you, whichever format. They can describe people, they can describe places. If you're teaching science, they can explain to you some, photosynthesis or some category, some processes in science that you need explained. Anything. Basically, I would say it applies across the board. It's how we as teachers organize our tasks to suit it. So first you know that you have the presentation format, which is 2020. Then you decide, I want to use it for my subject. Let's say it's sejarah, history. What can I do? Then you think along those lines. Do I need to cut down the number of slides? That's the way you go. Now, these are 2 examples here of Pecha-Kuchas done by children. And you can see the first one has even got a spelling error. You can see it's probably some, friend. What makes a good friend? It's very like something what our children will do in class. This kind of topics. And the one at the bottom here, it's titled The Kid in the City. So it's about this boy who spoke about his city. He lived in Toronto. Right? So these are things that I feel that our learners in primary school can easily relate to. And if you're doing something about the kid in the city, they may not even need to go online to look for pictures. They may already have photos at home. So in a way, we train them to be able to pick information that's important and organize it and then deliver it in the clearest way so that the audience understands. They pick and select, they prioritize. And I think that's very important when they transfer that skill to reading other more complex texts. So when it comes to preparing the Pecha-Kucha presentation, of course, you can take them online to the Pecha-Kucha website where they have this platform I showed you. So you have given them a topic, they source for images, they plan practice, they can even publish their presentation there. But sometimes we don't have the luxury of good internet lines, or our students like now PDPR, they're all over the place, cannot. So what you can do is, the other thing that we can do is to give them a hard copy or soft copy, this kind of storyboard for scripting. Scripting is very useful to help learners who are not very fluent in English or in whatever language they are presenting in. So when they script, here I've written down all the images. If there are 20 images, then they will have 20 rows. If they cannot write, you can just ask them to paste a small image there. What is important is the second column. Write what you will say. That is the important column. So now it depends on you, the teacher, to decide what you want them to write. Do you want them to write exactly what they will be saying? So that means it is a totally scripted presentation. So they write, fine. If you say so, they will write fully. And then as a teacher, you can actually help them check first. You can edit for them, or you get a peer to edit for them. And then after that, they can present it. They can use the script. So it gives them confidence. Those who are very scared to speak in English, for example, they will be more confident because you checked their script already. Or if you decide, I can use this storyboard, I will go semi-scripted. So you tell your students, maybe just make some notes or something like that. But it's always good to have some kind of an outline, even for the very proficient ones. Then the presentation will be more impactful because there is a guide as to which point flows to which point. Okay, this can be a story. Okay, it depends. Any kind of a topic, I would say it works. So this can go hard copy or soft copy, no problem. Now, as teachers, we know that our students need our support. Okay, whether in their presentation skills or whatever, they are still very, very novice or amateurs. And so I've suggested here some ways in which we can support them. If you look at the house here, when we're building the house, we need to have what we call scaffolding support until the house is ready. Then we remove that scaffolding of support. Similarly, that's our learners or students. Before they've developed that skill to present confidently and concisely, they need our support and that scaffolding we provide for them. So these are some of the ways I've suggested earlier. Collaborative ones, group or pairs. Scripted presentations, like I've just told you just now, with the storyboard, online or hard copy, soft copy, word copy, whatever, doesn't matter. As long as they have some form of script to guide them when they speak. Now, language support, okay, especially those of us who are language teachers, they will need our help because they do not know, for example, how to be more concise. So you might need to have some language exercises to help them. For example, in the end, it's 3 words, but when they say finally, that's only 1 word. All of a sudden, it's 3 words. But to cut it short, they could say suddenly. Or in the very first place, that's 4, 5 words. They could just say first. So you see, this is the language of conciseness that sometimes we need to give them the support. Either you give them a resource where they can refer, somewhere to refer to, or you have to do some support work or exercises first before you come to this part. So this is a scaffolding. In language, we call them scaffolding or support we need to give to our students to help them move forward in their presentations. So again, there are different levels of scaffolding or support that we can give to our learners. As we know, some have lower level, some have higher level abilities. So here on this slide, you see you can flow from group to pair to individual. Even the Pecha-Kucha format can be adjusted according to the level of your students. So it all lies with you, teachers. It all lies in your hands. You are the one who actually decide, customize this technique to suit your learners. You might just want 10 by 20, or you might want a 20 by 20, but individually. For coursework, I might want to do it individually, 20 by 20, 5 minutes or 6 minutes per presentation. So you see, like I said, it lies with you, Cikgu. Whether you are teaching primary school, secondary school, or higher education, I believe that the Pecha-Kucha is totally flexible because it came from the outside We have adapted it, and it has worked for me. I find that my students are actually presenting with less words. I notice that they use more visuals. They don't write so much on their slides. They're much better. Somehow, and I didn't realize it actually until I thought about it and said, this class I actually taught them. I did these activities with them. So these are things that perhaps you need to think about. Okay, finally, implement it and then share with your friends. And this is what I've done. I've done it with my students, and it's actually written up as a chapter in this book, which is published by the IPG Campus Tuanku Bainun, which is where I'm based. And it is one of the chapters inside this book, the Pecha-Kucha. Okay, right. I think I am done. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope that if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in English or in Malay. It's not a problem at all. I give it back to Dr. Assunta.
Thank you, Dr. Quah. It is indeed very, very enlightening and very informative session. You actually astounded all of your viewers out there because there's no questions, but everybody shared how happy they are to have learned this new technique. And I also like your idea of the support, which goes very well with what Vaikotti says, the weaning, you wean them out with the, remove one scaffold at a time. And that is what you actually showed us in your slides, and how this Pecha-Kucha could, help wean students from being scared to do presentation to become confident presenters at all levels, from a 5-year-old child to a 69-year-old person. So, is there anything that you would like to share with us in this just one last minute? Okay.
I saw somebody say wash hands, and I have to say that there is actually a Pecha-Kucha on washing hands. Somebody did it specially for the pandemic. And you see, you can literally have anything, any presentation, any Pecha-Kucha presentation, and I believe that you actually develop skills. I mean, if a lot of our speakers can actually try this, I believe we'll have less boring speeches to listen to, So I think that's about it. But I think most importantly, we should start in school. It goes across merentas curriculum, let's put it that way. And this skill gets transferred from one subject to another subject. And it goes with them. It doesn't leave them, actually.
Very true, Dr. Quah. Like my students who had to do PDPR online during their practicum, that's what they said, Madam, how do we cope with listening skill and speaking skill especially? It's so hard to get them. And I think this is one great idea that, I could share with my students for Pecha-Kucha, and how it actually addresses the speaking problem that they were facing trying to do online teaching via Google Meet. Yes,
okay,
Dr. Quah.
maybe one final thing. Even as teachers who are doing online, I believe because online teaching, you have to give out your lessons in little chunks. So as a teacher, you could actually do a little short presentation like this and bundle it up, because you can't give 1 hour lesson or half an hour lesson, even to primary schools. So you bundle them up into little bundles like this. And you can give it as an example to your students. And after your students will get the hang of it. It's not too long for them as well to listen.
Correct. It's very true, because it keeps it within the attention span, and they don't get too distracted or too tired listening to it. It looks like we don't have much time left, Dr. Quah, but I'm sure people will start contacting you or try this Pecha-Kucha. I know for sure I am going to do that. Yeah, so thank you. So
visit the website. Yeah, visit the website. There are lots more ideas there.
Yeah, we will, Dr. Quah. And thank you so much for introducing this Pecha-Kucha to us. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, Dr. Quah. Do you have anything to add?
No, it's all right.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We have yet another exciting talk lined up for you. Penggunaan kad tekad janji temu 2 dalam 1 dalam PDPR. Please click on the link pinned or just refresh this channel page. Thank you very much for joining us for Pecha-Kucha with Dr. Quah. Thank you.